Hi friends, welcome back to a new video. So for this video today, we are going to continue to work on this diamond painting. This is a diamond painting from Michael's, and it is Halloween themed. So these are pumpkins. I did an unboxing and I kitted up this canvas in my last video, so if you're interested in kind of seeing the beginning processes of this diamond painting, go ahead and click on the previous video. But if you kind of want to see what I'm doing with this video, stay tuned. So anyway, yep, so far I've completed this section of the diamond painting, and in this video I would like to complete this and maybe try to work on this part. So what I have noticed is these diamonds are extremely small, and the symbols in the diamond painting are extremely tiny, and this is my first time working on such a large canvas with such small symbols. And so it's very tedious. If you see anything or a shadow, that's Millie there. She loves to walk on my diamond paintings. So anyway, yeah, the symbols are very, very tiny, and this is my first time working on such a large canvas with such small symbols. So it's like I said, it's very tedious, but I'm getting through it. So yeah, and for today's video also, I'm going to be sharing either one or two scary stories. So if you're interested in hearing a scary story and watching me diamond paint, please stay tuned. So let's go for it. Okay, so here's the section I'm gonna be working on. I'm gonna peel this tape up like so. But there's So now this is sticky. Then I'm gonna get my diamonds here. Just need the rest of it. Okay, so we're gonna start. Diamond painting is insane. Because they never line up correctly when I do it like that.
The day began with the sun casting long shadows through the thick trees as my friend Jake and I embarked on a seemingly innocent hiking adventure. Armed with a map, water bottles, and a sense of youthful invincibility, we set out to explore the dense and eerie woods that had always whispered their secrets to us. Our footsteps echoed through the forest, a symphony of crunching leaves and snapping twigs. Laughter and banter filled the air as we ventured deeper, believing that the trail we followed would lead us to a picturesque waterfall we had heard about. The rustling leaves and the chirping birds were comforting companions, masking the sense of unease that was slowly creeping into my bones. As hours passed, the trail became fainter, and our surroundings grew darker and more foreboding. The forest seemed to close in on us, the trees bending and twisting into grotesque shapes that seemed to be watching our every move. Jake's confident smile was starting to fade, replaced by a furrowed brow as he consulted the increasingly useless map. "We should have reached the waterfall by now," he muttered, his voice tinged with frustration. I nodded in agreement, my heart beginning to race as a feeling of being watched intensified. With each step, the shadows grew deeper, and the once friendly sounds of the forest turned into an eerie cacophony. We stumbled upon a clearing, and my heart sank as I saw the sun dipping below the horizon, casting a haunting glow over the landscape. Panic gripped my chest, but I refused to let it show. Jake and I were experienced hikers. We could handle this. Or so I thought. As darkness enveloped the woods, we pressed forward, trying to follow a trail that seemed to vanish before our eyes. A bone-chilling wind swept through the trees, carrying with it an otherworldly whisper that sent shivers down my spine. Jake's flashlight flickered, casting dancing shadows that seemed to come alive. "Maybe we should turn back," I stammered, my voice quivering with uncertainty. Jake's eyes darted around, his unease mirrored in his expression. "No, let's keep going. We can't be far from the trail." With hesitant determination, we continued, our footsteps echoing like a funeral march through the now oppressive darkness. The air grew colder, and the trees seemed to close in on us, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. Suddenly, a chilling sight halted us in our tracks. Emerging from the shadows, we found ourselves standing before an old cemetery, its gravestones weathered and leaning at odd angles. The moonlight illuminated the scene, casting an eerie glow over the decrepit markers. I felt a lump rise in my throat as I read the inscriptions on the stones. Some dated back centuries, others had names and dates that were barely legible. A sense of foreboding settled over me, a feeling that we were not alone in that desolate place. Jake's flashlight beam danced over the stones, revealing worn engravings and faded epitaphs. As we moved deeper into the cemetery, an unsettling feeling intensified. The air seemed to grow thicker, and an overwhelming scent of decay filled my nostrils. "Jake, do you feel that?" I whispered, my voice barely audible. He nodded, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and curiosity. "Let's just find our way out of here." With each step, the sense of being watched became more oppressive. Shadows seemed to shift and contort, and the wind carried with it faint whispers that sent a chill down my spine. My heart pounded in my chest as we wandered deeper into the cemetery, the gravestones becoming a labyrinth that seemed impossible to escape. And then, out of the darkness, a figure emerged. A woman dressed in tattered, century-old garments stood before us. Her eyes were hollow voids, her hair matted and unkempt. She seemed to glide toward us, her movements unnatural and disjointed. "Who are you?" Jake's voice trembled as he spoke. The woman's lips parted, revealing decaying teeth as she let out a mournful wail that seemed to reverberate through the very ground we stood on. My blood ran cold as I realized that we were not alone in the cemetery. Spirits of the long departed were rising from their graves, their eyes fixated on us with an otherworldly hunger. "Run!" I screamed, my voice echoing through the graveyard. Jake and I turned and fled, our footsteps echoing like a frantic heartbeat as we weaved through the maze of gravestones. The spirits pursued us, their ethereal forms moving with a terrifying swiftness that defied reason. The woods themselves seemed to conspire against us, branches reaching out to trip us, roots rising from the ground like gnarled hands. Panic fueled our flight as we crashed through the underbrush, the anguished cries of the spirits echoing in our ears. My heart felt as if it would burst from my chest as we stumbled upon a clearing, our breaths coming in ragged gasps. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the spirits receded. The air grew still, and the moon emerged from behind a cloud, casting a pale light over the clearing. The cemetery had vanished, as if it had never been there at all. Jake and I collapsed onto the ground, our bodies heaving with exhaustion and fear. We shared a haunted glance, our minds struggling to comprehend the horrors we had just witnessed. We have to get out of here," Jake finally managed to say, his voice trembling. We picked ourselves up, our limbs still shaking, and stumbled back through the woods, following the faint trail that had eluded us earlier. The forest seemed to stretch on endlessly, the shadows dancing and contorting as if mocking our feeble escape. When we finally emerged from the woods, the sun was rising, its warm rays a stark contrast to the terror we had endured. We didn't speak as we made our way back to civilization, the memory of the haunted cemetery etched into our minds forever. Years have passed since that fateful night, but the memory of the haunted woods still haunts my dreams. Jake and I rarely speak of what we saw, the unspoken understanding between us a testament to the horrors we had faced. And every time I find myself in the woods, the shadows seem to shift, and an otherworldly whisper carries on the wind, a reminder that the line between the living and the dead is far thinner than we could ever imagine.
Okay, so let's see. I have completed a good majority of the right side. Looks like the middle here needs to be completed. Let's see. It's coming together. So let me get the next color. Let's see. Okay. So I'm gonna look for number 14, which is, wait, let's see. Oh no. I'm gonna do the, can't find it, let's see. Oh, here it is, number 12 is the divide. Okay, I'm gonna do number 12, which is divide. Look at that scary face. Can't wait to get up there. Okay. So now I'm gonna work on this part.
I moved away from the small town where the haunted woods lay, seeking solace in the bustling city and trying to bury the memories of that horrifying night. But no matter how far I traveled, the ghostly wail of the woman and the cold touch of the spirits lingered, a constant reminder that some horrors cannot be escaped. In the city, I threw myself into my work, trying to drown out the nightmares that plagued my sleep. But even the bright lights and busy streets couldn't erase the images of the twisted trees and the spectral figures that had pursued us. One day, while flipping through a newspaper, a headline caught my eye. Unsolved Mysteries, Haunted Woods. My heart raced as I read about a series of inexplicable disappearances and sightings in the very same woods where Jake and I had encountered the spirits. The article was filled with eyewitness accounts of shadowy figures and eerie whispers that seemed to beckon people deeper into the darkness. Unable to ignore the call of the past, I knew I had to return to the haunted woods. It was a compulsion, a need to confront the horrors that had haunted me for so long. Armed with a renewed sense of determination, I made my way back to the small town, my heart pounding with a mixture of fear and anticipation. As I entered the familiar woods, the air grew thick and heavy, as if the very atmosphere remembered my presence. The trees loomed overhead, their twisted branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. I followed the path, memories of that night flooding back with each step. Eventually, I stumbled upon the clearing where the haunted cemetery had appeared. My breath caught in my throat as I gazed at the empty space, the gravestones and spirits nowhere to be seen. A sense of unease settled over me, as if the woods were mocking me, daring me to venture deeper. Driven by a mix of fear and determination, I pushed forward, the path seeming to stretch on forever. The forest seemed alive, the rustling leaves and distant whispers creating an otherworldly symphony that sent shivers down my spine. Shadows danced and contorted, as if the spirits were testing me, drawing me further into their realm. And then, I found myself standing before an ancient tree, its gnarled roots emerging from the ground like a sinister altar. Carvings adorned the bark, symbols that seemed both familiar and foreign. A sickening realization dawned on me. The tree was a portal, a gateway between the worlds of the living and the dead. My heart raced as I hesitated before the tree, the weight of the past pressing down on me. But something inside me, a mix of curiosity and desperation, urged me to step forward. I reached out and placed my hand on the bark, a surge of energy coursing through my veins. The world around me seemed to blur and shift, and suddenly I found myself in a place that defied description. The air was thick with an otherworldly mist, and the ground seemed to pulse beneath my feet. Shadowy figures moved in the distance, their forms twisting and changing as if they were made of smoke. Among the figures I saw her, the woman in tattered garments, the same spirit that had haunted my nightmares for years. She stood before me, her hollow eyes fixed on mine, and I could feel her anguish and sorrow emanating from her very being. "Why are you here?" I managed to stammer, my voice barely audible in the surreal landscape. Her lips parted, and a mournful whisper filled the air. "You called us here, with your fear, with your memories." As I stood there, face to face with the spirit, I realized that the woods were a place of torment, a realm where lost souls were trapped, feeding off the fear and anguish of the living. The spirits had sensed my terror that night, and it had drawn them to me like moths to a flame. I took a deep breath, my fear giving way to a newfound determination. "I won't let you control me anymore. I won't be a source of your torment." The spirits around me began to wail and shriek, their forms contorting and writhing in agony. The very fabric of the realm seemed to tremble as if my words had struck a chord within them. With a final surge of resolve, I turned away from the spirit and the haunting landscape. The world shifted once again, and I found myself back in the familiar woods, the ancient tree and the spirits now gone. Exhausted but victorious, I made my way back to the town, my heart lighter than it had been in years. The haunted woods had been a place of terror and despair, but I had confronted my fears and broken the cycle of torment that had ensnared me. As I left the woods behind, I knew that the memories would always linger, a reminder of the horrors I had faced. But I also carried with me a newfound strength, a resilience that had been forged in the depths of darkness. The haunted woods may have held more than just gravestones, but they had also given me the opportunity to conquer my demons and emerge stronger on the other side.
Okay, so my goal was to complete this square. I still have to do this part, but I think for the sake of this video, I'm going to just stop there. It's coming along. We got a whole lot more to do, but slowly but surely I will get it done. So thanks for joining me today, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!